Whenever I do something, my wife suggests that we should get divorced. I replied all right and went away. I am currently living with my sister. My wife and I have been married for 4 years and have been together for 5 years. We had been friends for a while. We have a child who is 4 years old. Since she is the main breadwinner, I provide most of the income for the family. She decided not to return to her job. We have argued about once or twice a month for the last year and a half. I want you to know that I do assist with taking care of our daughter. I clean, cook, and do other tasks with both of them. We argued when she first mentioned she desired something. End of marriage. It was amusing because her sister called to see if she could stay with us for some time due to problems in her relationship. I said she was allowed to. That made my wife angry. I told her that her friends had visited us and stayed for 5 weeks a few months ago, but they didn't help with any chores. She was also present. There was complete silence. My daughter and I had never seen her before. My sister is very pretty and gets along really well with our daughter. I thought my wife was similar. She spent a week with us and assisted at home by preparing meals, cleaning and taking care of our daughter when we needed help. I thought we had left the past behind and moved forward. Usually the arguments are about little things, and I am not the one who begins 90% of them. I mentioned it, but she always said she or we didn't need it. I had it yesterday evening. She got angry with me because she believed I was working too much. She feels lonely and thinks I am not a good father. She told me, I want to get a divorce. I told her that I work a lot because she spends all my money. When we argued, I spent our money. When I wrote it, it appeared as mine. Money was given by accident. We decided to divide the money among paying bills, saving for the future, buying unnecessary items, and having fun. She refused to work or attend school to support her. I look after my family, for my child. I am always there for her for every important occasion, celebration, medical appointment, or anything else she requires. She refused to attend therapy or training to seek assistance. I no longer want this. My attorney will give her the documents once she finishes preparing them. I bought items for my daughter and gave them to her. I will give them to my sisters along with her. She keeps apologizing repeatedly in calls and messages for the past 2 days. She was not being sincere. She wants to meet with a therapist and have a conversation with a counselor. I have to assist her. She longs for me, etc. I don't know where I am. I adore her. She is an excellent mother. But I can't do it anymore. People we don't know online, please assist us. Yes, I have a legal representative for my job and my loved ones. I've known her since I was young. Hi everyone. This news is not joyful or filled with positivity. A while back I wrote about how my wife constantly talked about leaving me. That is, until I had my daughter and went away. I needed to let out my feelings, so I wrote this. You can find the original in my profile. To address some questions I've received, I will discuss a comment I received on my post from August. I want to mention some things that were overlooked or not focused on enough. If necessary, I would do everything again, even bring my daughter along. I advised his wife to go out and do something, like finding a job, starting a hobby, making new friends, and so on. Inquired about receiving assistance from someone. She refused to pay attention or consider anything I said. She said that. Or maybe the problem wasn't her. My child is my top priority. My wife and I avoid arguing in front of her or close to her. My childhood at home was difficult. I remember when my dad was angry at my mom. My father. Someone cursed at me because my mom went away. That's something I never want for her. I never want that to happen to her. That night, I had no clue about my wife's plans. No one can be compelled to seek assistance. They have to want it. I really desire it. People will only pretend to have changed if you force them to. I am responsible for this. But I can't allow my daughter to believe that this is acceptable. This is how relationships are supposed to be. When I was young, I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't turn out like my father. Please provide the text you would like me to simplify. I had many thoughts after I shared my post. It was crucial for me that she understood how much I meant it. I sat down at a table and told her I couldn't continue. We must stop the arguments and talk of divorce. She said yes, but she promised to keep it a secret. I told her that it would be discarded permanently next time. We decided to go to therapy together. It made me see things differently. Words were spoken, emotions were expressed, and looking at things from another perspective helped us comprehend each other more effectively. After a couple of meetings, I felt like things were improving. She began to work harder. She searched for a job and found one. She also met some people she liked and discovered a new activity she enjoys. We argued because she forgot about plans with her new coworkers and couldn't change our plans for our daughter. At the end of the argument, she quietly said, "I knew it was wrong to marry you, I saw." I remember her very well, and the strongest memory I have is that I didn't recognize the woman standing in front of me. I thought she appeared changed. I didn't know who the woman in front of me was. I requested her to repeat it. She said to him, "I should have broken up with you a long time ago. I left and went to the park with my daughter alone." Finally, I requested a legal separation. The documents we both signed stated that even though we are not living together, we are still legally married and cannot date other people at this time. Please provide the text you would like me to simplify. Money will be divided, but the expenses will remain divided as they are currently. I would still have insurance from my job. It was also mentioned that therapy sessions for both individuals and couples would continue as scheduled. I would live with my sister, and we would both take care of our 70-year-old daughter. I requested my wife to take care of our daughter for a day while I had custody of her. She said yes after I informed her a week in advance. When I left her at her house at 7:30 a.m., I noticed an unfamiliar car parked outside. Entrada de vehículos. When I first saw her, I thought she had a visitor. As a sign of respect, I pressed the doorbell, which feels strange to do on my own doorbell. Then I waited with my daughter until a young man without a shirt, around 20 years old, opened the door and inquired about my identity and purpose. When he shouts my wife, she appears wearing a robe, and her expression goes from surprised to sad. The official split will be completed in 3 months, as anticipated. I am requesting a divorce. My daughter is out of danger. She is unaware of what is happening, except for the fact that her parents do not like her. As I mentioned before, she is my main priority. I suppose I did it. Something I didn't want to do. What I promised myself I would never do. I think it could improve. In the end, I end up being just like them. I don't know what a healthy relationship should be like. I want to demonstrate to my daughter how much I care for her and bring her up in a good way. Thank you for all your love, kind words, help, and feedback. Let's continue with the next story. Second floor. Is it bad for me to expect my sister to fulfill the agreement we made about taking care of someone? There is a lot of history in this place. My sister Lily is 35 years old. My niece Emma. She got her driver's license when she was 26 years old. At that moment, she was living with my parents and her boyfriend. They had both recently completed a program to help with their drug addiction, so they were ready. She and her partner struggled to stay drug-free, and she used drugs during her pregnancy. She asked me to take care of Emma for 2 months while she went back to treatment to get better when Emma was almost 2 months old. I was 22 years old, living in a small apartment, and studying law. My parents said they were unable to go, took care of the baby, and recommended that my sister be placed in foster care. So I brought my niece to stay with me. When my sister left the rehabilitation center, she started dating her boyfriend who uses drugs again. This began a 5-year cycle where one of them would stop using drugs, but then the other would influence them to start using again. Emma was in my care temporarily as her legal guardian. I said yes to Lily's request to come back, but only if both of them could pass a drug test. However, they never passed the test. My sister phoned. She told me she was pregnant again when Emma was almost 6 years old. She became different after that, and she had my cousin after staying sober for nearly 8 months. It must have been difficult for both Emma and me when she went back to live with her parents after staying with me. I have Emma with me every weekend, but she lives with her parents during the week. We reached an agreement about parenting. The court is like that. During the first year, we all attended therapy sessions as a family. Once we established a regular schedule, we stopped going. The issue is that my sister is expecting another baby, and she and her former boyfriend, who is now her husband, have mentioned that they prefer Emma not to visit me on weekends because she misbehaves when she returns home. I understand everything. My sister and I discussed how difficult it must be for Emma to compete with her brother for their mom's attention when she is not feeling well, experiencing nausea in the morning. When Emma is with me, everyone pays attention to her. To help my sister, I suggested looking after my nephew on weekends or going back to family therapy to support Emma in coping with these changes. My sister actually said that Emma was going to stop hanging out with me for a while. I allowed her to spend 2 weekends with Emma. However, when she refused to communicate with me, I informed her that I would take legal action. We decided who would take care of Emma, and I am still one of her legal guardians. She said I was mocking her previous experiences. She couldn't fully be a mother to Emma. I feel conflicted because I have taken care of Emma for almost 6 years and cherish every moment I am with her. Am I causing a problem? Every night, Emma calls me to ask about our weekend plans and why I am always busy. I believe my sister is also making it seem like I don't want her to visit. I just want what's best for Emma, so should I ask on Reddit? You are simplifying Spanish texts. Please paraphrase the following text, making it easier to understand by using simpler vocabulary and sentence structures. Make sure not to change the meaning, direct quotations, or citations. Emma is 9 years old now, and my sister has been drug-free for over 3 years. We took Emma forward at a slow pace. She visited her parents every other weekend for a year. After that, we changed roles and now I have weekends. Some people think I prevent them from being with their families on weekends. I have always been understanding, and if they had plans, they could bring Emma along. They are not interested in hanging out with Emma, but they are trying to keep me from spending time with her. They sent her brother to stay with my parents over the weekend so they can rest. During the last 2 weekends, they have also sent Emma to her grandparents' house. So, I don't understand why it would be any different if I took her. My sister doesn't have a job. She looks after her children. They dedicate a significant amount of time
together because she doesn't have a job. She is nearly 300 pounds and rarely goes out. It always seems like a storm passed through. When Emma was 3 years old, my parents purchased a home for her with the aim of helping her regain control. They can cover their expenses because my brother has a job in information technology. Each week I take Emma to her karate, swimming and Girl Scouts activities, and I regularly make sure she is doing okay. In the past 3 years, my friend Bill has had a setback 2 times. On both occasions he was asked to leave the house, so Emma didn't witness anything. Some people claim that Emma is their babysitter, but I doubt it. My sister spends a lot of time at home, so I keep Emma occupied with various activities to keep her busy and away from home. They also gave her $20 to take care of her 3-year-old brother for 2 hours recently, and this made her very happy. The remarks about what could be happening with Emma at home really frightened me. I contacted the therapist who used to see Emma and arranged a meeting for Friday after school. She always talks to her therapist alone first, and then I join in for a conversation together. She will always be aware that I desire her and have time for her. I will also ask her if she enjoys living with her parents, or if she would prefer to spend less time there. I hope everything goes smoothly. And thank you for your assistance, helpful ideas. During the transition, or how things unfolded, they could never sever our connection. We relocated her. They spent time with her every other weekend for nearly a year before we took her to a new home. I work as a lawyer, so I am familiar with all the legal tricks and know many people in the legal system. That's why I am sure I can regain custody. What if I believe she was in danger? I'm not sure if that's the correct decision. She clearly sees me as a mother, but my sister feels really bad for not being present and is putting in a lot of effort to be the best mother she can be. The trees make it difficult to see the whole forest. At first they had weekends for a year, then we shared the time equally for almost a year, and now I have had weekends for almost a year. Emma's behavior. Everything was going well until my sister became pregnant once more. She was happy to have a younger brother, and for the first time she accidentally called her sister Mom. I cover the expenses for her to attend the private school she went to for preschool and kindergarten. She did very well with her friends and teachers at the stable. She started spending the beginning of the week with me instead of her parents after coming back from the weekend. That's when my sister believed Emma was obeying the rules, and then it was my turn to have the weekend. The circle continued. My sister has openly admitted to feeling envious of me. She not only likes how close I am to Emma but also believes I can provide Emma with many things she cannot. She says I pamper her, and to be honest, she's my girlfriend, and I want to give her everything. I believe she simply doesn't listen when they ask her to do things such as putting away the tablet or washing the dishes. It's difficult because our relationships have changed. During the weekends, I keep her occupied with different activities and only allow her to watch TV or movies after dinner. She has only one to store her plates because I own a dishwasher. I have always been able to communicate with her without any issues. It makes me sad that Emma called me Mom. For the first 3 years, she called me Mom. When my sister visited, Emma fainted when she mistakenly called me Mom. Emma was crying and yelling, and she asked me why I made her believe I was her mother. Emma was very afraid and unsure. When my parents intervened, they suggested that Emma use a different name for me. Is there anything more you would like to add? Most people seem to have a negative view of ADA, but there is no unanimous opinion. Hey, many people have been asking for an update, but the past month has been really hectic. In short, my sister had a baby, and now I have everything, 3 kids. Emma informed me that Lily had been causing her a lot of distress during a therapy session that I accompanied her to. My sister said that I never wanted her and would return her as soon as possible, so she had to ask me to take care of her when she was a baby. Even though I really look up to my sister, I was hesitant about taking care of my niece at the beginning. After finishing my first year of studying law, I moved into a small room in Flatbrook. I was afraid of the idea of caring for a baby while I was in school, even if only for a short time. I am working to make Spanish texts easier to understand. I didn't know how I would manage. I relied a lot on government assistance and my parents. But that doesn't mean I didn't love her or didn't want to return her. I always tried to do what I believed was the right thing for her. After the therapy session, I requested an urgent custody order because my sister was turning my child against me and was breaking the rules by using marijuana. In my state, it is illegal, and she does not have a prescription. Therefore, I requested a drug test and a visit to her home, mentioning the poor condition of the house. I mentioned that the house was very messy. It became so untidy that it posed a health risk and turned into a hoarding issue. The police detained me for emergency reasons, and on Monday they went to my sister's house to bring her in. I knew this would happen. In my previous post, I mentioned that I was confident I could obtain. I took control of my children again, because I knew she was using marijuana. Just to clarify, I didn't see it as an issue. It helps her when she has a headache. But I was willing to use it as a weapon if necessary. In this situation, things unexpectedly went wrong. In the previous message, some individuals mentioned that it was evident that I have negative feelings towards my sister. I do not. I care about her a lot, and I believe that many of her issues stem from being too trusting and spending time with the wrong crowd. But I want to make it clear I really dislike my invoice. When Child Protective Services arrived, they discovered that my neighbor was growing illegal drugs in the basement. They found marijuana and other drugs in both of them during the search. Tested for drugs. The fentanyl was likely combined with the substance they were using. They quickly took my cousin and then contacted me to pick him up. Both of their arrests were related to my work on the gardening project for my bill. But I honestly can't recall seeing it. Even though I knew she was not happy and using drugs, I didn't notice any indications that she would start using again. I feel really bad for going against you. I quickly got used to having 2 children, but I knew she was going to have another baby soon. I went to visit my sister, who is expecting a baby, is in prison, and we reached an agreement. In exchange for me covering her bail and providing her with a lawyer, she renounced all parental rights to her 3 children. This increased her chances of avoiding prison. I felt guilty for having to cover my bill and also pay for his lawyer. A week ago, she had a baby. Luckily, she didn't have to do it while in prison. I'm relieved that my second nephew appears to be healthy, despite using drugs and alcohol. I have complete responsibility for Emma and her 2 sons. I am currently in the process of applying for legal adoption, which is different from guardianship. I am confident that I will succeed. Successful. Because both parents renounced their rights. This is the best choice for me, because I don't want to wait for her to finish cleaning before I can bring the kids back. Also, it demonstrates that I cannot rely on her. I don't want to raise a child with someone who lies and deceives like she did. Emma is doing very well. I have never seen her so happy. The baby and I are both doing fine, even though we have had some nights without sleep. Ian, my 3-year-old nephew, is the person I think about the most. He is doing well. He is far away, but I don't think he has realized yet that this situation will continue for a while. We will definitely undergo family therapy. I hope I have covered all the topics. I am thankful to everyone who helped me realize that Emma was not doing well. I don't want to imagine what could have happened if you weren't here. It doesn't look like it can happen. She didn't use birth control because she believed she couldn't get pregnant, so that's how she ended up having Emma. When she was young, one of her ovaries had to be removed. The doctor said it was very unlikely for her to have a baby in the future. Emmy was born in a breech position, so my sister needed to have a C-section. She also had a similar experience with her other children. The doctor mentioned that there were complications during the birth of my newest nephew. Due to her many scars and having only one ovary, it is unlikely that she will have more children. She could possibly have another baby. However, I don't want to think about that at the moment because the likelihood is very low, and I have other issues to focus on. Helpful ideas. Do you want to learn more about studying law? I finished law school nearly 7 years ago. When I finished studying law, I started working as a... Sure, please provide the text you would like me to simplify. Now I work as a lawyer who defends people accused of crimes, but I also handle cases related to family matters from time to time. Currently, I am obtaining a license to practice international law. I grew up in Europe and now reside in the United States. I want to work as a lawyer for a global company that involves traveling. When I search for a new job, I need to consider my children. I never had the opportunity to settle down because I was always moving around when I was young. I enjoy discovering information about different countries. Has anyone in your family said something? We are taking a break from each other. My parents were very angry when I requested emergency custody, and we both exchanged unkind words. They made a valid argument. It seemed like my sister's family had everything in order, and my parents thought I was trying to cause trouble. After everything ended, I believe things were different. This is the first time they have said no to helping my sister when she's in trouble. I prefer to wait a bit because they haven't contacted me yet. At this moment, I feel exhausted and anxious, and I prefer not to speak further to avoid saying something I might later regret.